following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on the break!
With Nick Eatman, David Hellman, Ambar Garcia, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Friday, September 10th, 2021, Season 17, Episode number 18. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break. We're live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star, and we got to talk about the Cowboys' first game of the season. They lose 31-29. But there are mixed opinions as to what that might mean. We're going to get into all that throughout today's show. We're going to tell you what went right and wrong for the Cowboys, where they played well, and where they had some questionable moments that maybe could have led to a win. I want to start, though, with the big prevailing question, I think, coming out of a game like this, and we alluded to it last week. When you play as well as the Cowboys did on the road against the defending champions, even though you lost the game, do you look at this as a moral victory, or do you look at it as just another loss? Dave.
You know what's funny? Like, they didn't even play that well. I mean, not in the grand scheme. I'm thinking about special teams miscues, leaving 4 points on the field. Like, they did a lot of dumb stuff. Like, they didn't play the cleanest game in the world. Right. That's what I mean by that. But like, I'm sorry, people that just want to win all the time. Like, I am hype today, Derek. I am hype, and I can't tell you.
I thought that was my role. What are you doing?
No, but see, the thing is I'm not going to try to tell you what it means for 18 weeks of the season, but this team can hang, and that matters. Because they could not last year. I mean, like, winning is the name of the game. They're 0-1. There's nothing they can do to change that. But you got a chance every time you take the field with a quarterback like Dak Prescott. That's what it boils down to for me. And if you throw in a defense that can get takeaways, they're not going to get 4 every week. But if they can reliably do it against somebody as good as Tom Brady, and maybe the Bucs will struggle this year. Maybe they're, we don't know. But it's a pretty good bet that they'll be good. Tom Brady's missed the playoffs how many times in his career? Mm-hmm. Like once? Seriously, how many times has Tom Brady missed the playoffs in his career? Like 2008 when he tore his ACL week 1. Like,
I didn't even count that one because that wasn't on him.
Yeah. Oh, and 2002, right after his first of 7 Super Bowls. He's in the playoffs every other freaking year. So
I think they were an 11-win team that year, 10-win team that year that they didn't go.
They'll probably be in the playoffs. And the Cowboys went to their house and took it to the wire. And no, they didn't win. But I can't nitpick that too much after what we had to sit through last year, man. And I think sometime in the third quarter, in the fourth quarter, when they stripped Godwin on the goal line and gave Dak a chance to go down and take the lead, I was like, this is all I can really ask for, is if they're in the game, they got this badass quarterback who can make every throw, and it's fun and it's entertaining. And if you can't find some joy in that, of knowing that he gives you a chance every week, and that's all you can ask for. If you can't find some joy in that, maybe reevaluate why you're even doing this.
Nick, moral victory or just another loss?
Both, because it was just another loss. But, moral victory is if you're content.
I don't want to get you too far. I know you and Nate had a whole debate on this last year. But
I listened to some of their show. If you have to play that role, you have to play the role. I mean, if that's how you believe that, I'm sorry. I feel sorry for those two guys, Jesse and Nate I'm talking about. I feel sorry if they really believe that. Now, if they're playing the role of, like, we got to be on the other side because Shannon and Kurt, because I was watching some of their show, then that's the role they're going to play. Fine, play the role. But, if you really believe that gets doom and gloom because of that game, then why are you doing this? Well, why are you being a fan? Why are you, it's a long season. If the players were excited about it, then you could have a problem. Yeah. It was a quiet plane ride. It was a quiet bus ride.
One of the more quiet planes I've been on. Yeah.
They were upset because they know they had a game. But like Dave said, if that's how you're going to play, like it's the same reason that we got into that argument about the Pittsburgh game back then. If you're going to play like that, bring it every week, because I promise you this: the Eagles, the Chargers, the Giants, the Panthers, they can't hang with that if you play like that all the time.
Okay, we'll get into the Charger conversation next week. I think that's a team we'll get into that next week. I think that's worth discussing. But
they can't hang with that.
We'll talk about that next week.
They will not hang with it if
that's
the Cowboys
a little premature.
play like that.
I'd like to see the Chargers play a game. They got a pretty good quarterback too,
and a pretty good defense too. But anyway, let's talk about that next week. We'll get to that next week.
Well, and again, if the Cowboys don't go and play like that, then they won't. But I'm just saying, if they go out and play the way that and as Dave said, they didn't play that great. They had chances to win. They're not better than the Bucs. The Cowboys are not better than the Bucs, but they could have won the game.
All right, I want to take you guys to two moments in the game, and I want to get I want you to go back and think what were your thoughts in those moments. The first being when Greg Zuerlein goes onto the field with I guess it was a minute 24 at that point, goes onto the field to have a field goal try in order to give the Cowboys the lead. What were you thinking?
Back me up on this. We say a lot of stuff, and maybe we embellish. We were sitting next to each other. Nick had already gone down to do his post-game stuff. I was like, they're going to lose. Like they got a timeout on the board. There's a minute 24. Even if he makes this kick, Brady's going to do his thing. I mean, I felt it in my bones.
Nick,
before or after the kick?
Before the kick.
Oh,
because I think it's two different things.
Not making it.
You didn't think he was making it? Yeah.
Not really. No, I didn't think he was going to make the kick. I mean, we'd seen one of the worst field goals of all time earlier in the game. Now I understand he came back and had some. He had a wild night, but I didn't think he was going to make it. But when he did make it, I was like, yeah. I mean, I thought about Aaron Rodgers and the times that we've seen that before. We've seen him go down the field, and so yeah, it just seemed like an eternity, And you think back to all these other missed kicks, make another field goal, make one of these other field goals. And then I know the game plays out differently, but if Tom Brady has to go score a touchdown,
it's different.
Still could have done it.
No doubt.
But it's totally different. You can't just dink and dunk for 8 here and 4 here and all that when you got to go get a touchdown.
It's very hard to do, but for somebody of Tom Brady's caliber, getting into field goal range with that much time, it's almost easy. You got to make it harder. I mean, yeah, you got to make him score 6.
And I don't care what the defense is against him.
No,
a guy like that, you give him that much time. Good luck with that. Yeah.
There isn't a defense against. I mean, there is, but I mean, the Cowboys did it against Drew Brees in 2018. If you remember the game, they won 13-10. It's doable, but it's really hard. That's why guys like Brady and Brees have 45, 50 career game-winning drives.
Yep. So did it change once he made the field goal? Nick, you mentioned that it kind of was two different things. Did your opinion change at that point, or did you then realize, it's 124 and Brady's coming on the field?
No, I was standing next to one of our PR guys in the tunnel, and I looked over at him. This is like before midfield, and I was like, "Do you think the Cowboys are going to win?" He goes, "I do." I said, I don't. I just think he's going to go and do this. After Diggs almost got the pick.
Yeah.
I thought.
That was actually the moment.
Yeah. I was like, because he's going to come out here and get 2 picks off Tom Brady.
Yeah.
But no, it just didn't happen. And, that's why he's as good as he is, great as he is.
Yeah. I'll tell you this. At the point when he was about to go on the field, I had this conflict because in my head, I was like, Tom Brady, 124. And I actually have a friend who is a Bucs fan who was texting me, and I told her, I was like, yeah, he's got 124. I'm not feeling really good about this. So my head's telling me one thing, but then you know how your intuition starts to be like, man, the way they've played this game, it would kind of make sense at this point that they would make some kind of miraculous play and actually win this game. And then the moment came. One play, DeMarcus comes screaming around the end, barely misses Tom Brady's arm to be able to possibly knock the ball out. By the way, earlier in the game, we saw Dorrance Armstrong hit his arm. Ball didn't come out. So there's no guarantee ball comes out even if Tank gets him. He throws the pass, and then you got Diggs almost intercepting it. And I was like, that was the moment. That was the moment that, to me, I would have been like, okay, yes, this team has maybe that ability to win these kinds of games. And the fact that they couldn't convert it, it kind of also said to me, that's where their growth area is. You got to finish these kinds of games. You played a good game. to keep you in contention. Those are the moments that make the difference between a team that's a championship caliber team and a team that just maybe makes the playoffs and then is out.
I go back and forth. I don't think I completely agree with you because they made a miraculous play to save the game. The strip on Godwin was incredible.
But that wasn't finishing the game. That's my point.
But,
you still have to finish the game.
How many times are you going to make that play against Tom Brady and that offense?
If you're going to beat teams like that, when you're faced with those kinds of situations, you got to figure it out.
If you're going to beat teams like that, you convert your third downs on your drive and go score the touchdown and put the game away.
Great.
Or
That's
run the
great.
clock down and kick the field goal with time running out.
That's great, and I agree with you. My point is, once you get beyond that point and you now have a 1-point lead with 124 left, if you're going to be a championship caliber team, you got to find a way to make a stop.
We do this every time the Cowboys play a god tier quarterback. It's like you got to make the play against Aaron Rodgers, or do you got to not put your defense in a position where they're forced to be the ones that have to make the play?
Great. All that's fine.
I side toward the strength of your team, which is the offense. The offense left opportunities on the field.
True.
We're going into the weeds.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's why Nick's laughing.
No, I'm just laughing because I'm like, you're right. Like to be a championship team, but how about let's work on getting a winning record again? I mean, like last year was so bad, and so and as I wrote in my story is like, this is one thing I could tell about this team is they're a pretty good football team. They are a pretty good team. Now, really good teams go and do those things you're talking about. So it's only been one game. We haven't seen it, but I can tell right now. I didn't know anything about camp and preseason. I don't know anything about the team, but I know right now that this is a pretty good football team that can get better, and it's going to get better because they got the best guard in football, one of which is coming back. That won't make you one-dimensional.
Yep.
I know we're going to talk about Kellen Moore. I thought Kellen Moore should get some praise for how he played that game or called that game.
And just to be clear, this is not so much a knock on them as much as what I'm saying is that's their growth opportunity. And Michael Parsons talked about it after the game. He said, if you want to talk about where we can be better, that's the kind of plays that we got to make in order to finish games. Like, that's my point is, yes, they're not there yet, and that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It means that if you're looking at them and you're trying to be objective about how do we play yesterday and how do we take that next step to be that next level team, that's how you take that next level, both for the offense and for the defense. Offense has to do some stuff different. Defense has to do some stuff different.
I don't disagree. And you're right. You're right. But it's the missed opportunities for me are, again, offense they had such a great night against that defense. Not having Zach, the way Kellen called that game was masterful at times. But you go 1 of 4 in the red zone. That option play to Zeke, her stings, man.
Yeah,
that was such a great call. Jarwin can't get the block on the edge. Zeke can't make a cornerback miss or just truck him. You'd like to think Zeke could truck that guy.
Especially when I'm looking for him on the roster and he was on the practice squad.
Well, that doesn't mean what it usually means,
Maybe
to be
not.
fair. But I get your point.
If Darian Thompson the same way, and I would think Leonard Fournette would truck him.
Good point.
But we saw a reverse to Cooper in the preseason to Jarwin, and he did the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, like out in space, all that. I didn't think it wasn't. I mean, do we have a new starting tight end? Is that what's going on here?
Doesn't surprise me. Does it surprise you guys?
I'm not ready to go there just yet, just because it's week 1. But yeah, I mean, Dalton Schultz got the bulk of it. I still think there's going to be plenty of opportunity for both.
Absolutely.
But it was a Schultz night.
But I think we talked about this earlier in the preseason. This was a guy that last year put up 63 catches. I mean, he had a lot of production for this offense last year. I didn't think it was just a foregone conclusion that Blake Jarwin just came back and assumed the starting position. I think Dalton Schultz earned the right to continue to be the starter. And
he's going to be a different type of tight end. I mean, 3 catches for Jarwin, but he also had a play down the field that got a PI, and so he's going to be a little bit more downfield threat. But I think the way, especially with this offensive line, the way it was last night, I think Dak's going to get the ball out quick to guys like that. And I think Schultz is going to benefit a little bit more if it's just getting the ball out quick.
All right, we're going to take our first break. When we come back, we'll get more into this game. We got to talk about Dak Prescott and certainly about Kellen Moore and kind of game he called. We'll do that when we come right back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man's Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at stetson.com/cowboys.
The Cowboys way, where 16 Hall of Famers and 5 championships shows us what success looks like. Where turkey is always the second best part of Thanksgiving Day. Where we are all defined by one single thing, the star. Where we as fans know it's our job to keep the tradition going. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys and to support the quest of living life the Cowboys way. Copyright 2020, Bank of America Corporation.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
Honey, big news.
Gary, are you okay?
Oh, I'm not Gary anymore. I'm Jackie Flash.
What?
See, I want the latest smartphone, but the best deals are only for new customers. So, to get a new customer deal, I changed my name to Jackie Flash.
Okay, but the best smartphone deals at AT&T are for everyone, new and existing customers.
That's huge. Then guess who's getting a deal?
Is it Jackie Flash?
Jackie Flash.
It's not complicated. At AT&T, our best smartphone deals are for everyone. Restrictions apply. Visit att.com for details.
Back to the break.
Cowboys Nation, it's football season. That means it's time for new gear. Just head to the Pro Shop, your official store of the Cowboys Nation, and score classics like your favorite player jerseys, tees, hats, plus exclusive collections and unique accessories. Visit your local Dallas Cowboys Pro Shop or online at shop.dallascowboys.com.
Welcome back. It is the second segment of the break live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. We're talking about the Cowboys' first game of the season. They lose 31-29. Still a lot of positive things. I'm not gonna say a positive thing that they lost, but a lot of positive things to be taken out of that game. Do you have something?
No, I already said it. I mean, nobody wants them to lose, but if you're furious about this result, just take a deep breath.
I would just say enjoy this because this is sport and entertainment. So take a moment just to relax and enjoy where we are. Like
that was fun. That was one of those games where you're like, somebody has to lose, and that's unfortunate.
What was that? I think it may have been third, maybe early fourth quarter when you looked over at me and you said, no matter what happens from here on out, I'm good.
That's what I mean. And, you know, it would be amazing if the Cowboys made a playoff run and all that stuff. But, like, all you can ask for is that the games are fun and entertaining every week because we know firsthand what it's like when they're not. And it's the worst.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like Sunday's like going to a funeral every week. Like, nobody wants that.
Right.
You're not going to win them all, but at least they're fun.
So let's talk about Dak Prescott. Yesterday he goes 42 of 58, 72% completion percentage, 403 yards, 3 touchdowns, only 1 interception, which I don't even think was his fault, but he got 1 interception, had a 101.4 rating. Tell me, what was the favorite thing you saw from him yesterday in his return to the field after that injury? Nick?
So many to choose from, including the first play. But I thought the touchdown pass to Cooper when the snap was low and he dropped it, picked it up, and I mean, without even panicking, no screen, just got his eyes back on where he needed to be. There's also good trust in Amari of knowing where he is, and it reminded me of the game in 2015 where the Cowboys were going to play the Giants on week 1. And it was like last play of the game, 10 seconds to go. Romo's driving him down the field, and Frederick kind of low snap, same thing. He just picked it up calmly, threw it to Witten for a game winner. And at the end of Romo's career, he was kind of doing plays like that. And I thought that was very similar for Dak. I mean, and just a play like that, I thought that was just total under control despite a little chaotic scene.
I could do a whole segment on what I loved about
we will on Monday actually.
The whole thing. All right, I won't do. But I'm like, he made so many amazing throws. The best throw of his night might have been one that didn't count. The throw that he made to CD on it was the final field goal drive before Brady got the ball. On Tyron Smith got called for holding. Just dropped it in a bucket right in the gap in the zone to CD. His placement was incredible all night. I mean, it was everything that makes Dak Prescott great. He got rocked. I mean, they were pressuring the hell out of him. There was a play, I think he threw it to Amari. He got the pass off and completed it. The rush came in. They body slammed him. I mean, and he was dealing with that all night. Didn't faze him one bit. The fumble play. He had a quarterback keeper. I think somebody stepped on his hand and they had to glue the cut shut. And he's just like, yeah, whatever. You gotta. He called it medic stuff after the game. He was like,
they were doing some medic. They
did some medic stuff, so I'd stop bleeding and I got back in the game.
Football players are crazy.
More than anything, and this is just me. I haven't talked to him about it, but his demeanor after the game was very impressive to me. I go back 2019 and in the early part of 2020. You lose games. They were 8-8 team in 19. They obviously got off to a rough start last year, and he looked frustrated after games and didn't have answers to the questions and yada yada. And I know he didn't want to lose last night, but he just exuded this cool. He just was like, yeah, they got us. We'll be okay.
We'll be back.
Yeah, I mean,
as he told him,
and that's cool, and that's gonna make headlines. Romo said that to people too. Yeah. Quarterbacks do that. It's cool, but just his whole demeanor was like, yeah, we lost this one. We're gonna win a lot, and he was like, the expectation is that we're a good team that's gonna make a playoff push. I mean, to say that after you fall to 0-1, just the whole way he carried himself, don't take this the wrong way. He didn't look angry, and not to say that he's not taking the loss hard, but he just was like, yeah, we're coming back. We're gonna win some games. Yeah. And I thought that was really impressive, especially to come so close to such a big win, and to just kind of be like, yeah, we'll be okay. I thought that was really impressive.
Yeah, it's interesting. After the game, I think it was. I want to say it was Amari that said this, but one of the guys in the post game said, the only thing that we know, what Coach told us in the locker room, the only thing we know at this point is we want to go undefeated. Everything else is still on the table for us. And so I think that seemed to be the impression I got from most of those guys. I
think it was Casey that said they're going to go 16-1.
Okay,
good on him. Good on him for remembering that it's a 17-game schedule. Because I would have said 15.
Because when he said that, I was like,
I would have messed
it
up.
He said we're not losing again. So I said, so it's going to be 16-1. He said, yes, 16-1.
Hey, I like the confidence. I hope they can back it up. And if it's like what we saw last night, I think they'll do way more winning this year than they will do losing.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why I thought they won, obviously Dak was one of them. The other is I think the guy calling those plays on offense was a huge reason. Nick, I pointed out to you earlier in the game, I think it was it the first touchdown, I think, where he kind of did a pump fake and then went downfield to CD. And it was basically set up earlier in that drive, Kellen Moore, because they spread out the receivers. They had basically had 12 personnel, that 2 tight ends in the game, which gives you the right kind of matchups, but they split everybody out wide. So each side, imagine this, you got a tight end, and then staggered off of them, you've got off the line of scrimmage, you got a wide receiver on both sides. And earlier in that same drive, they had hit one of those wide receivers up tight on a screen, and that drew the defense up. And then on that play, they pump fake, and then you're downfield. Here you go.
It's a little bit of an injustice to just call it a pump fake too. It was an out and out fake screen because you fake the smoke screen, then CD's still got to get 18 yards downfield. I mean, you're putting a lot of trust in your offensive line.
Doubt.
That is a slow developing play. It was really impressive.
So tell me, what did you notice about Kellen Moore and how he called that game yesterday?
Well, I thought he did a great job of knowing that we're not going to run the ball up the middle here. This is their strength. This is our weakness of the offensive line, and it's not gonna happen. So let's go sideline to sideline. Let's make it wide. Let's do different plays. And I said this, I think, earlier in the week about some trick plays or throw them all out there, and they did. They kind of had some different things out there. A lot of different. It looked like a college game, which was great. I don't use Tony Pollard the way Dave's been asking them to use Tony Pollard for a long time, and so no. At the end of the game, last play, I think I like my quarterback out there. I don't know what that was.
Yeah,
I don't know what that was.
We watched that from the tunnel. I don't even know for sure what happened, to be honest with you.
Did I hear this right? Because no one can back me up on this. I haven't watched it. Did Micah Parsons snap the ball?
You told me that. I didn't notice that.
I got to go back and watch.
I got to watch this. I don't know. He did, Chris?
Okay.
I was looking. I had a terrible view. They wouldn't let me on the field right at the end. I was like looking, and I'm like, why is Dak on the sideline?
I've never seen a play like that.
And Parsons was
to win a game. It's always a Hail Mary. I've never seen a situation where
I thought it was going to be
you just run the ball and try to figure out if he can do it. Yeah,
throw it back and all that.
It's kind of a hopeless situation anyway.
I like the creativity of trying something different. I mean, the likelihood you were going to get a Hail Mary in that situation probably wasn't great. So,
and maybe let's not strain the quarterback's shoulder asking him to throw 80 yards either.
I just wish that this whole time we were worrying about who the backup center was going to be. It was Micah Parsons all along. Like, I didn't realize he was the backup center.
I know what you're saying. I get it. Yeah.
I had such a nerd crush about Kellen Moore's game plan last night. It was so cool. And it reminded me of the first 3 games of 2019. You'll never convince me ever. I'll say it forever. Something happened in week 4 of 2019. Like somebody forced Kellen to put the fun playbook away and get the boring playbook out. Maybe it was Jason Garrett. I don't know. But this was the fun playbook. And it's so creative to, again, utilize short passing to substitute the running game. The way they had Pollard involved. RPOs to screen game, like just all sorts of stuff like that, where Zeke is an option to keep it if the look is right, but you don't have to do it. You mentioned the fake, setting up the fake to CD. I don't know if you want to do super duper gadget plays like that all the time, but even the fake reverse that Tony Pollard ran, like that's where you can literally change the whole play by just telling Tony, hey, stick the ball out when you run past Coop, and it gives the defense a completely different look. It was fun. It was really fun.
But at some point, you've got to be able to run the football, and that's the problem with. I mean, like, it was fun and cool, and I'm with you. But when they got down into the red zone, you can't just knock people off the ball. Like that's going to be an issue with this team.
Let's talk about that, because I personally believe that was a function of the team you were playing. This was the number 1 rush defense in the league in 2020, and the times they did run, like, they were getting nothing out of it. And I think, as opposed to some years that we've seen this team where they continue to kind of beat their head against a brick wall and have basically meaningless plays because they know they can't do something that they keep trying to do, they just opted to say, hey, we're just going to back up and throw the ball. So what do you do in that situation where the front, you can't beat this front? And from the standpoint of running the ball, what do you do in that situation?
Well, I do what the Bucs did. I do what other teams do, what the Bears do. If Quentin Bohanna is going to be active, then get his ass out there and let him be a lead blocker. Let him do something different. Get some beef up there. Your tight ends have no beef. Like, you want to let them be pass catchers and cool, and maybe they're all good fantasy players, but they're not blockers. And so 12
But that's a problem they should have handled back in the preseason.
They don't. They got 2 guys that are pretty much the same.
Yeah.
And so they're not.
Well, I'm saying, but from a standpoint of getting some beat, they should have had a fullback if they wanted to be able to do that, right?
Something. I mean, Tampa does it. They put their star defensive tackle out there and do it just for a play or two, but they do it. And so you got to figure out different ways to run the ball. So, yeah, Tampa, that they could say, yeah, trick play us all day you want. But when you get down to it, you're really not going to score.
I would just like to point out that, Tampa did a better job in the red zone, but, the Bucs ran 14 times for 52 yards. It's not like they bulldozed the Cowboys.
No. Yeah, the run defense for the Cowboys was very good yesterday, I thought.
It's 2 different arguments, right? I'm just saying.
I guess I feel like I never felt like there was a time where the Bucs were like, we're going to saddle up and pound it down your throat. Like, the Bucs were doing the same thing. Tom Brady threw 50 times.
Right. I've said this 1,000 times, though. It doesn't matter who you're playing. When push comes to shove, they don't. They don't shove. They don't knock people off the ball, and that has been the problem with the red zone, is that they have to rely on Dak or making a play, because they're not just going to bulldoze people over the line.
I don't disagree with that. I do, and one game is such a small sample size, but you look at the stats, and it's so clever. Like, I don't care what Zeke's stat line is. Michael Gallup, probably 20 of his 36 receiving yards came on balls that were within 2 yards of the line of scrimmage. Same thing for Tony Pollard's receptions. Same thing, Dalton Schultz had that really nifty screen. If you add up receptions that happened at the line of scrimmage and went for yardage, that's another 60 quote-unquote rushing yards to your total. So now you're looking at it and say, oh, they had 120 rushing yards. Nobody's talking about this. If we get a month into the season and this is what all of Zeke's stat lines look like, that's problematic. Yep. But right now, I'm impressed that they had the adaptability to play it a different way, because we saw them just try to stubbornly mash a square peg into a round hole for years, and it never, or round. Yeah. I had it right. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah. But we'll talk about this on Monday. I was just telling you guys, I want to really dive into that, because I do think to some degree there's an argument that can be made that the identity of this team has shifted, and they are what we saw last night, maybe what you may expect to see for the next, who knows,
we can
the
save
rest of
it.
this season.
We'll
talk about that on Monday.
We can save it for Monday, but that shift ship
We'll
sailed.
talk about that on Monday, because I do think there's some things we got to talk about. There's some nuances to that. Let's take our final break. When we come back, we got to take some time to talk about the offensive line, because I think going into that game, most of us thought that the big telltale was the fact that you didn't have your best offensive lineman. Connor McGovern was going to have to start. The question for you guys is, how did he play, and was that a problem for them? Was it as big of a problem as most people thought it would be? We'll talk about that when we come back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
Hi, I'm Clint Tillison with United Ag and Turf. Before you can park yourself in front of the game, park yourself in a John Deere and power through your chores. Our Land Run package is a 1025R, 25 horsepower tractor with a loader, rotary cutter, and a box blade for $229 a month. And the price you see is the price you'll pay, no surprises. So don't miss another kickoff.
Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com. Offer ends February 1st, 2021. Restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
Now let's get to work.
Honey, big news.
Gary, are you okay?
Oh, I'm not Gary anymore. I'm Jackie Flash.
What?
See, I want the latest smartphone, but the best deals are only for new customers. So, to get a new customer deal, I changed my name to Jackie Flash.
Okay, but the best smartphone deals at AT&T are for everyone, new and existing customers.
That's huge. Then guess who's getting a deal?
Is it Jackie Flash?
Jackie Flash.
It's not complicated. At AT&T, our best smartphone deals are for everyone. Restrictions apply. Visit AT&T.com for details.
New Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. You deserve it.
I do deserve that.
You deserve decadent flavor without sugar, and a day at the beach without sand getting everywhere. And a relaxing bath that your children don't interrupt.
I deserve all that?
It's really just a visual metaphor for Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. Everything you want, nothing you don't.
A visual metaphor on the radio. I do deserve that.
Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. The zero you deserve is finally here.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man's Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at Stetson.com/cowboys.
Back to the break.
Whether you're watching from home or cheering in the stands, with Essler lenses, you can see every exciting play. Book an appointment at your local Essler experts and find the perfect Essler lens for you. See more, do more, Essilor.
Welcome back. Final segment of the break, live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. Cowboys lose 31-29 to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Next week they will be taking on the the Los Angeles Chargers. Will be out there next Sunday for game number 2. We'll get into that next week on what that game may look like. But before we get to that, we do need to talk about this offensive line. As I said before the break, I personally thought that the biggest problem that the Cowboys would possibly face last night would be not having their best offensive player, maybe definitely their best offensive lineman in Zach Martin, and Conor McGregor were trying to replace him. What did you think
Conor
of
McGregor?
I'm sorry.
Interesting.
Conor McGovern. That's funny. Conor McGovern trying to replace him. What did you guys think of the offensive line play, and specifically the play of Conor McGovern?
I thought they protected him. I thought he played a decent game. And they threw the ball a lot, and Dak didn't really get hit that much. I mean, he got hit some, but he didn't get any sacks. Just the one critical sack too. Like that was a bad one. That was on Dak. Yeah. You got to throw that away, or you got to do something different. They were 1st and 10 on the 21-yard line, and they ended up kicking a 60-yard field goal, which somebody explained to me why that happened. That was a bad coaching decision right there, and I'm just going to be nice about it. I think. Yeah. I just don't know how you kick it.
Unbelievable,
especially when a kicker that's been
when he's struggling to make anything. I mean, he had a 31-yard field goal that did not hit the net.
Can I throw this out though?
It hit the ship.
I thought about this.
They weren't even kicking that way.
I was going to say, I don't think that was the right end zone, but it's a good joke.
I thought about this. Do you think that maybe that was one of those situations where there was only upside from the standpoint of your kicker's mentality? Like no, but wait, hear me out.
Sorry.
A 60-yarder.
I love when we agree, Nick.
If you miss it, your kicker doesn't feel bad about missing a 60-yarder. If he makes it, whatever had happened previous to that now feels a lot better because I made a 60-yarder. Do you think that maybe that was a part of the thought process of the head coach?
With 1 second left in the clock?
Right.
Yes. But not with 15 and not with Tom Brady. And, I mean, they had a miscommunication. They could have easily gotten in there and gotten a field goal.
No, I get from the strategy of the game, I agree with you completely. Okay. I'm asking if you're trying to rationalize how the coach came to this decision. Could you see where that maybe is a part of the fact?
I see it, and then you immediately say, but then you give the GOAT the ball at the 50 with 20 seconds. Yeah. Did you see? He's amazing. The way that, like, again, he got them into field goal range with, like, so much time to spare, and he's just chucking out routes. He's like, I know this is only going to take 2 seconds off the clock. I can't prove this. We'll never know, and I know a lot of people are complaining about it. The miscommunication with Antonio Brown. Brown ran a hitch, and he threw deep. He's smart enough that he could have done that on purpose because he was like, well, what I want's not there, but they can't throw a flag on me for doing this. Yeah. That's just expertise that comes with 22 years of playing in the NFL. You're putting him on the 50 with 20 seconds to play? No, and by the way, you get the ball coming out of halftime, so you have all the opportunity to just grab the game in the second half. If he misses the kick, and it worked out. It worked out. They got lucky. Yeah. But even a field goal puts them up 8. And so now you can't even all you can do is tie the game, best case scenario. Yep. It was stupid. It was bad game management. I asked Mike about it last night, and
he kind of dismissed you.
His answer was icy, and I was like, sorry. I was like, was there a debate or a conversation? Like, how did you come to this decision? And he was like, I just had a lot of confidence in Greg, and
that was it.
It was a very FU kind of tone.
Why?
Definitely.
I don't know.
Because he didn't do anything in the offseason. He's got back surgery. His kickoffs are not going to the end zone anymore. His field goal went way left. He missed an extra point. What a part of all of that says he's going to kill a 60-yarder here and it'll be fine, and we have no recourse. I mean, I just don't understand that. Now, okay, I don't get that. But I also will say this, he did a nice job of getting the team ready to play.
Yeah.
Like, this team was prepared. They played hard. They played well. They didn't care about anything else, the outside noise. I do give them credit for that, but that which is their job. I get it. It's their job. But, like, they came in there to hit them in the mouth and win that game. And I just did not understand that one, and they got lucky that it didn't bite them.
And when I said at the top of the show – they were kind of sloppy. The more you think about it, and I mean, the defense is going to give up plays to Tom Brady. That's just going to happen. Sorry. But like special teams, man, and it's not just Zuerlein. Like, they gave up the long kick return. Zuerlein wasn't getting balls in the end zone, which is kind of concerning. I just thought they kind of looked like crap in that aspect of the game. It's great that he rebounded to kick the go-ahead field goal, but that was gross, and I mean, it just was. It was. This has been a very positive show for. I mean, we've done some shows where we just killed everybody after a loss.
Yeah, no doubt.
This is a very positive post-loss show, but if you're looking for something that I really hated, basically everything about the way they managed their special teams sucked last night, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think it all goes back to starts and has a lot to do with what's going on with the kicker. And I think we got to talk a little more about that. We'll probably get into that on our next show when we talk a little bit about what the kicker. I'm laughing because you guys in here, our producer in our ears, telling
especially
us,
when you said we're talking about the kicker.
Right.
Boy.
We got a phone call. We got to get to this phone call because I am absolutely positive she's got some takes from that game. Welcome to the show, Miss Amber Garcia. Amber, what up?
Hey, guys. I just heard Dave say, oh, boy. But you know what? You guys got a positive Amber today.
Whoa.
Positivity today.
Okay.
Yes. I'm mainly calling because I want to know, do you guys and I, myself, qualify for a ring? Do we qualify?
I'm sorry. If I could have put money on anybody calling us a bunch of bums for being excited about a loss, I would have bet it would be you.
And she went the opposite way.
They don't do NFC East rings, right? We know that. Everybody knows that.
No, you get a hat.
That doesn't happen.
They give out hats.
You're talking about a Super Bowl ring?
Yeah.
Well, I did see last night one of our counterparts that works on the digital media staff for the Bucs was walking around with her big shiny ring, and she's only 2 years in. So I'm guessing they went top to bottom in their organization.
I
don't know that we do that.
Those things are ridiculous.
Yeah.
Those are paperweights.
Yeah, they're huge.
Yeah, and if the Cowboys ever win a Super Bowl, it'll be a paperweight you won on your desk.
That's true. It'll be like a watch ring.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to say this. I'm guessing what will probably happen is they will have one that they give to the players, and then we'll have a replica version that maybe they decide to let employees.
God, let's slow down.
It's AG. I thought you were calling to bring us back to reality. What are you doing?
Well, you know what it is? You know what it was? I was going into this game. Obviously, I've been kind of keeping up with things, but not like very deep like you guys during training camp and all that. But what it was for me is that training camp, okay, you hear about Dak and the shoulder injury. Then you hear, Dak not going to play. Then, and I know these were preseason games, and I know it doesn't matter. It doesn't count. You're looking for other things other than wins. But it does suck when you don't win a freaking single preseason game. Like, it does annoy me. So my expectations for this game were pretty low, to be honest. The defense, I wasn't trusting them or anything. And then we hear about the rain in Tampa. And then I'm like, okay, well, this is not looking good. Sorry, my baby is about to start crying.
What's up, buddy?
He's like, no.
He's like, rings?
The point is, my expectations were kind of low for the game. So when they played the way they did, I was pretty excited to see Dak perform the way he did. And I'm in a more positive mood because of how low my expectations were, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think there's probably a lot of fans out there like that they went into this game assuming. And by the way, you look across I was watching all the shows yesterday as we were waiting for the game. Across the board, everywhere, all the picks were Bucs, 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 Bucs. Even on our shows, like Bucs, Bucs. Everybody was picking the Bucs. So, yeah, I think there was this feeling, from a lot of fans that as of last night or this morning where they were like, if everybody picked it that much of a landslide and the Cowboys played the way they did, that's actually somewhat of I feel better about that even though it was a loss, right?
The Cowboys employ one of the 4 or 5 best quarterbacks in the NFL, and he looked every bit the part last night. And if that's what you got a chance in every game you play.
Yep.
It's really all you can ask for.
Yep.
So you should feel pretty good about what happened last night.
We were seeing that last year. He was giving them a chance. They didn't win some of those games. He was giving them a chance. Sometimes they did, sometimes they didn't.
But they were sorry, not to cut you off. They were playing bad football, him included. They were playing awful football. They played pretty good football last night.
Yep.
Not completely great, but pretty good.
Kicker.
Well, the other thing, before you guys go into the whole kicker situation, the other thing for me was also is that it didn't take the whole first half of the game for them to do things, It was like, okay, they started off and they were doing some things, and then they were keeping up with the Bucs, and it wasn't like, oh, we're getting into the third quarter, then the fourth quarter for them to kind of try to catch up to them. So that was another aspect that for me was pretty positive. and just feeling like, man, okay, we didn't start with a super slow first half of the game, and then we're moving the ball and doing a few things. Now, with the kicker position, you guys can take on that conversation. This is ridiculous. I don't understand what the problem is. How hard is it to kick a ball?
There's the Amber, I know.
Right back there. There we go.
Like, an extra point, really? Like, okay. I was thinking, where did I put my Dan Bailey poster? I know that was a long time ago, but how hard is it to find a Dan Bailey back in the days when he was good?
You could probably find him right now.
You know, that's actually an interesting
I'll
thing.
let you guys take on that conversation.
All right, thanks, Amber.
Good to hear from you.
All right.
You know, that's actually an interesting thing. I was having a similar conversation with my wife this morning about the game, and she was asking a similar question like, is there somebody else out there? And I'm like, yeah, but this is the problem that teams face at this time. Like, yeah, there are other guys you could go out and get, but you're basically giving up one problem that you know for an unknown problem. Like, whoever's out on the street, there's a reason they're on the street.
Right.
And they're probably, even if they come in and they get on a streak where they're just like kicking everything, there's a reason why they're on the street. And at some point, it's probably going to rear its ugly head. And then you're right back into that same inconsistency. So it's like, you know, there's several teams, and there are several teams in the league that have a really good kicker, and they're good. Everybody else, they're kind of just hoping their guy can make the kicks they need because there's not really much recourse.
And complicating this is Greg Zuerlein has a contract that is not your average kicker contract. I mean, they signed him for 3 years, $7 million. So, and they've freed up cap space with the restructures, but cutting him would cost like $2 or $3 million. Wow! And I don't think that's something that you want to do after 1 week. If it persists, eventually things come to a head. But after 1 week, I'm sorry to whoever said this on Twitter. I don't remember who it was, but I don't hate the idea. I don't think they need to cut Greg today. That's a little bit of an overreaction for me, even though he was bad last night. But you could sign another kicker to your practice squad, and even give Greg. That would give Greg time if he's not right, if he's not healthy, get him healthy, or just work until you feel more confident or whatever. But there's 16 spots on your practice squad. I'd like to think you could afford to carry an extra kicker for at least a month or so.
Do you think it's maybe even worth it to put that guy on the active roster and let him kick off? Because that's the other part to this that's not working.
Now we're going real college football.
But I'm thinking about from a standpoint, if his back is still an issue and he's having to work it back, the last thing you want to do is put too much on him. So is that maybe a better in-between decision?
Now, he did say after the game, that 2 or 3 of those kickoffs that were short that was the call. That was the call. Now, because they did come out and kicked after that, he did go through. So I don't know if he's hurt or not, or still not 100%. He did have back surgery, but it just the mechanics of that, the ugly field goal, that was just something we just haven't seen. Now he kind of corrected himself as things were going. I didn't really get a good view of the 60-yarder. Was it online? Was it just short?
I couldn't tell. The way our angle was, it was hard to see.
It was definitely wide. I don't remember.
It was short.
Yeah,
short and wide.
It was short.
Kind of was hoping that guy back there would return it.
So that they would at least have less field.
Well, I mean, you got to tackle them. And we've seen Alabama fans will tell you that that's not always easy. But, not that we should talk about college football. But I do think that I still just hate the kick. I hate the call. Yeah, but I think he's going to turn it around and be all right.
Think he'll be okay?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, who else are you going to get? You're going to get someone else's problems.
I need you to – it's going to take me 3 games before I'm ready to, completely dive into they have to make a change.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If they wanted to bring another guy on, that's fine with me. But, yeah, I think that's a little premature. And
he misses the kick with 1:24 to go or something.
Yeah, I think then I have a different opinion.
Yeah,
I think it does too, yeah.
Yeah, because 48 is, that's the money range. That's 60-yarders I don't expect you to make, but 40 to 50 is where
that's where you make
your most money. Yeah.
When he made the kick, everyone was like, too much time. If he misses that kick and then they kneel out the ball, whatever, we'd be sitting here going, that would have won the game. He probably wouldn't have come back. You know what I mean? You spin it however you want.
Of course, I mean,
you'd be like, well, that was a game-winning kick and you missed it.
Yep.
Which is still, honestly, it still is a game-winning kick because it put them in the lead. 124, 124 left, and they just couldn't. They couldn't finish it. They couldn't finish the game.
Shout out! Wait, before you since we were talking about it, I just shout out to Jordan Lewis for running down on a Hail Mary cover, intercepting Tom Brady, and getting to like the opposing 40.
Yeah,
I'd have to go back and look at it, but I just lack because the other side of the field looked really open, and that just would have been like one of the more amazing things I've ever seen.
Yeah,
but nice little 2 takeaway night for Jordan Lewis.
Yeah, that was all things considered, that was a good performance by the defense from that standpoint as far as the takeaways are concerned.
If they don't give up the bomb to Antonio Brown on the go route, amazing night by them. They still a solid night, but that one bust kind of hangs over it.
Yeah, Monday we're going to dive in a little deeper on that conversation, the defense, how they performed, and really just looking at this team overall, how much complementary football they played, how much is this team relying on Dak? Is that a winning formula? We'll talk about that all on the Monday. But you guys enjoy the weekend. Until then, for Nick Eatman, Dave Hellman, I'm Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break, live on DallasCowboys.com. Radio Hook 'em.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?